I'll call this meeting of the Johnson City City Commission to order for November the 4th at 6 p.m. in the Commission Chambers of the Municipal and Safety Building. And with that, I'll invite Pastor Tyler Dalton to the podium to bring our invocation, followed by our pledge.
Well, let me say it's an honor to be here. Again, thank you to my brother, Commissioner Aaron Murphy, for the high honor to be able to lead in a moment of prayer. Let me share quickly from the Word of God. The Lord put this on my heart today for all of the people as well as this beautiful moment. Philippians 4 says these words in verses 6. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. You know, the Bible gives us an order of prayer, and tonight I would think it would be awesome to pray over in this way, the prayer of urgency, of understanding where our power comes from, also a call to supplication with thanksgiving in mind. Let us pray. Jesus, we give you great praise for the opportunity to pray in this moment, Lord. I pray over these people in this room, the jobs that you have given them and the office that you've called them to. We give you great praise for what you're doing in our days. Lord, we know that there's chaotic moments, but God, we know that you're in complete authoritative position. So we give you great praise in the moments of understanding that we have the liberty to pray. But God, we know that you call us to supplication. Supplication is when we beg for your glory, for your purposes, and for your power. So God, I pray in this moment, Lord, that you would continue to heal your land and use these individuals to lead about your goodness and your commands and your statutes, because we know your righteous decree is good. So we beg that you would heal our land, you would heal our people, and you'd utilize human instruments to bring about your goodness. But God, we're also acknowledging Thanksgiving, that all that you've done over these days, all that you're doing in this place, all you're doing over the city, God, I pray that you would continue to keep in the forefront of our mind all the beautiful gifts that you've given us of life, of friends, and freedom. I pray, God, that you would continue to keep our minds bathed in these avenues. And let our hearts be not troubled in anxiety, but let us understand that the power comes from Christ Jesus. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Good face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Peterson, did we have a modification to the agenda that needed to be made?
If we could, I'd like to bring something to your attention. As you all are aware, we had you approve a memorandum of understanding with the county for the purpose of the renovation and the preservation of the historic Ash Street Post Office Courthouse. And last week, the county commission approved a version of that document differing from what we had put forth and what you had approved. So we have a difference in the documents, and prior to the county approving that, Ms. Sandos and I had been in communications with the county about what needed to be in their version of the document. And I think we got it all worked out with the exception of one very significant clause. And as that relates back to, as everybody's aware, the governor included $5 million in funding in his budget for the renovation of the courthouse. And that purpose for that building was to serve primarily as a center for entrepreneurship, for rural health, for the establishment of ETSU being able to retain students here, develop internships for students, and to create public use. In the county's consideration and approval of the document they approved, it did not include that paragraph. So we need to respond and try to get something worked out with the county to ensure that we can take advantage of the gift that we've received from the state government and get the courthouse renovated, restored, preserved, So I would ask you to authorize me to send a letter explaining to the county that we will gladly accept all liability for the building during the construction and the ongoing operations to get the building restored, and that we would like to take possession of that building either through a transfer, an outright transfer, or if need be, perhaps some sort of long-term lease. And going forward, that the city would take responsibility for the operations and maintenance of the building. I think the county commission had some concerns about the building being renovated and then them being charged with the ongoing operations and maintenance, and explain to them that we would absorb that responsibility and cost up here in order to get this project moving forward. So, and we also need to move this along quickly. The state has told us that we have till the end of June of '22 to complete this project, or any funds remaining at that point in time go back to Nashville. So it's imperative that the city and the county come to some sort of agreement within the next 2 or 3 weeks, because in the meantime, we have stopped the project from progressing until we can get this resolved. If we can't come to some sort of mutual resolution to this locally, I don't know that we have any choice but to return the money to the state and explain to them that we just can't arrive at a solution that will ensure that the uses and the promises made to the governor in exchange for the $5 million can be met. So I'm just asking you for some guidance and some permission to send a letter to the county so that we can keep this thing on the front burner.
I would be supportive. I mean, as one who's been involved in the West Walnut Street project for 6 or 7 years, we always recognized that that courthouse was going to be a wild card because it needed a significant investment, while at the same time, because it had some federal obligations tied to it, it couldn't just be the private sector that was going to come in and do it, because it had to be retained as a public use. I sat with the governor not once, but on 2 separate occasions, and made some pretty bold promises if the special appropriation came for the use of the Ash Street Courthouse. And so it's of particular importance to me that when all is said and done, the governor recognizes the project that was funded as the project that he agreed to fund. And so, and in conversation with colleagues on the county commission over the last several weeks, one of the common questions I heard was, why are we still going to own this building if you've got a programmed purpose and funding to renovate it? Which I think is a fair question. And so I think this takes that question and the uncertainties of future responsibilities off the table. Now, I do believe the county had already, before all of this happened, re-roofed, or had repaired the roof or replaced the roof. And so there may be some opportunity there as well, that, you know, that's a major part of a renovation of the building that we don't have to incur, and would certainly be an appropriate use of some of those dollars, I would assume. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
So I think, you know, this can be a win-win for the county and the city to deal with some of the ambiguity, some of the future liability, and ensuring that, you know, Johnson City is known for keeping its promises. And I think that's really important.
The complexity of this is what they added into their side of the MOU was that it would be opened up for exploring other uses of the building that would.
Well, I think what the impasse that we're at is the lack of inclusion of a paragraph that explains the uses that were presented in order to obtain the funding, and the assurance that all of those uses would be addressed somewhere in the building. I think if we can address the uses that were presented to the governor and ensure that those uses are present. If there's still space available, it's possible that you could put some other uses beyond those in there, but we've got to have assurance that the prescribed uses are present in there in order to qualify for that funding from the state.
Really are prioritized.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think one of the other things, I mean, we literally have such a short time to get this project done, that we have to have the ability to make the decisions and move on in a quick time when you're managing the kind of contractors and subcontractors that are gonna be working on this project. And it will be restored to its kind of historic, presence that it's always had. And I guess for us personally, it sits in the middle of a corridor that we're investing $30 million to, and it's in a very dilapidated condition. So we have a great interest in having that building restored, for it to be used in a way that we discussed with the governor, and he has approved that. So we just need to be able to move forward in a way that we can get this project completed.
And the uses that were described to the governor, in our presentation to the governor, we had letters of support from the county mayor and Dr. Nolan and others that were in full support of the uses that we were suggesting and moving forward. So hopefully this will be something that's easily understood, and the fact that we're willing and able to assume the operations and maintenance ongoing, and that we would reimburse the county for what they have invested in the roof replacement would enable us to come to an agreement and satisfy the terms and conditions of the grant.
So if you get this letter out tomorrow, I would think it would be really important that at our next meeting, so us in 2 weeks and the county commission meeting at the end of this month, that, hopefully we could request that being addressed at that time.
It is my intention to have the final document before you in 2 weeks, and the county commission, if they agree, at their meeting this month. If we can't come to some sort of agreement by the end of the month, I'm not sure we can do the project. I mean, we're way behind the 8 ball as it is in terms of a timely completion of the project. To put this off till December is probably assurance that we will not get the project completed in the time period allocated.
You've stopped work right now, correct?
Right now, it's stopped. And I mean, there's environmental testing to do, there's some demolition to do. They've started working on design, but I don't want to commit a lot of money towards that project, because if we can't come to some sort of agreement that the state approves of, then we're going to have to decline the $5 million, and whatever money we've spent to that point will be an expense at the cost of the city of Johnson City. And we certainly don't want to spend a lot of money in those efforts if we can't get it moving towards agreement.
But we're optimistic.
We are.
I think so.
I'm very hopeful that we can do this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good
This is a
project,
magnificent project.
and it's a good opportunity, and so I don't think we want to be too doom and gloom, but when you've made significant commitments to obtain significant funding, this is, I think, the governor's largest special appropriation during his time in office, we need to make sure that what we show up with at the end of this looks like what we promised we were getting ready to do.
Yes.
So, do you need a motion authorizing you to put that
You
letter
can give me a
together?
motion, or you can just give me directive as employer to employee, and I'll make sure it gets done, however you'd like to do it.
You have to add it to the agenda for a motion, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just direction, if that, or is there any objection from anyone here to that plan? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Guess that moves us back to the meeting minutes. From
Back to the meeting minutes, if
I make
you
a
would,
motion
and
to approve.
if you all would excuse me, I'm gonna go help Doc Sander raise some money for his Finnegan's Challenge. If you're not familiar with it, check it out. It's a great cause, Mr. Stahl. If you would, please, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you know you were doing this?
Are you at the minutes?
Yes, we are needing to consider approval of the minutes from the regularly scheduled city commission meeting held Thursday, October 21st.
Move for approval.
We have a motion to approve and a second. If there's not objection, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Brock,
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter,
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler,
Yes.
Mayor Wise.
Yes.
Next item is a presentation of a proclamation recognizing the Toys for Tots 2021 campaign. And we have some members of the U.S. Marine Corps here to accept that proclamation.
So, thank you for being here. I'll read the proclamation. It's, whereas the United States Marine Corps' Toys for Tot program has been sending a message of hope to needy youngsters across the nation since its inception in 1947. And whereas the primary goal of Toys for Tots is, through the gift of a new toy, to help bring the joy of Christmas and send a message of hope to America's less fortunate children that will assist them in becoming responsible, productive, patriotic citizens. And whereas in the 2020 holiday season, over 14,000 toys were distributed to almost 4,000 local children in the Johnson City area alone. And whereas each year, the Toys for Tots program requests donations of new, unwrapped toys for distribution in time for Christmas, and this year, the local campaign has already established over 30 collection boxes in Johnson City, in Johnson City community for donated toys. Now, therefore, I, Joe Wise, the mayor of the city of Johnson City, do hereby proclaim October through December of 2021 Toys for Tot season. And I'll give you that, and then invite comments from you, if you will. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and how folks can participate.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. Thank you to those that are at home watching. I'm Sergeant Emily Kidwell. I'm the Supply and Logistics Chief at India Company out in Gray. I'm also the lead program coordinator for the Toys for Tots program. I'm here tonight to accept this proclamation, but also explain to you all the importance of what we do. We have over 2,000 children in our community already that are signed up to receive toys this year. I project that number to go up double, maybe even triple. What you can do to help is donate toys, new and unwrapped, in one of our donation points, or you can make a charitable donation through our online portal. I will leave my business cards in the back if anybody is interested. That will have our Facebook on it, our website, our Twitter, my phone number, my email, and then you will be able to go on and find specific details for what you are looking to do or what your company or organization or anybody else is looking to do. Additionally, if you're interested in signing up, that is done online as well. We support newborns to 13 years old, boys and girls. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Stahl?
Yes, sir. Next is a presentation of a proclamation recognizing Small Business Saturday on November 27th, 2021.
All right, I'll read this one as well. Whereas local small businesses contribute to our local economy and community, and according to the United States Small Business Administration, there are currently 31.7 million small businesses in the country. And whereas small businesses represent 99.7% of all businesses with paid employees in the United States and are responsible for 65.1% of net new jobs created from the year 2000 to 2019. And whereas in 2020, minority-owned businesses represented only 18% of small businesses, just under the 20% of businesses that were owned by women. And whereas 97% of consumers who have shopped on Small Business Saturday recognize the impact they can make by shopping small, and 85% of them also encourage their friends and families to shop small. And whereas 56% of shoppers reported they shopped online with a small business on Small Business Saturday in 2020, and more than half of consumers who reported shopping small endorsed a local business on social media or shopped at a local business because of a social media recommendation. And whereas advocacy groups and public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, and whereas Johnson City is dedicated to promoting small businesses in our area and support the job creation, boost to local economy, and community element of small business. Here's the part you've been waiting for. Now, therefore, I, Joe Wise, the mayor of the city of Johnson City, do proclaim November 27th as Small Business Saturday. And so I'll give you that. And Michael, one for you as well. And if you'll just take a moment, tell a little bit about your business and what kinds of activities you might have, or how folks can participate in Small Business Saturday.
Thank you so much for inviting us today, and thank you for the proclamation. I'm Jennifer Parker. I own Vibes Nails and Lotion Bar on Main Street in downtown. And we're kind of probably unique to some downtown businesses in that we began the process of opening in 2019 in December, and then the world went crazy. And, we weren't sure what that meant for us, being a close contact business, opening in the middle of the pandemic. But somehow, with the love and support of this community, we have thrived, and we continue to do that. We have numerous specials that we'll have through the season. We do a lot to offer both like gift bags and gift cards and packages and things like that, but also a little pampering when you're ready. But we absolutely love serving this community, would not want to be in a different place at all, and love being a part of Johnson City.
My name is Michael Short. My wife Leah and I own Artisans Village. It is a fair trade store in downtown Johnson City. 10 years ago, we took a leap of faith with the hope that we would be able to impact the lives of people, not only abroad, but here at home as well, by providing them with economic opportunities that would just give them the chance to raise their families in a way that is positive and helpful. And so as we approach this holiday season, we want all of you to understand that we are so grateful for the support from local shoppers, and we ask you just to continue to support those efforts as we move forward. I want to thank Mayor Wise and also the commission. Much of the time, running a small business can be a challenge, and all of the small businesses in Johnson City appreciate the fact that our leadership here in Johnson City understands that, appreciates that, and supports us.
We thank you both, and that Saturday's coming quickly, folks. I think there's only like 6 Fridays between now and Christmas, so it's time to get on it. But thank you all very much.
Mayor, the next item is consideration of beer license application for Bruce Miller Enterprises LLC, doing business as Max Dogs Catering 101, 1320 Pactolus Road, Johnson City, Tennessee. As a point of reference, 1320 Pactolus Road is the Freedom Hall Civic Center. If you remember, back in July, the City Commission authorized the sale of alcohol at the Freedom Hall Civic Center for the first time, based on a study that was conducted over a number of years that indicated that providing this option of alcohol service at Freedom Hall would attract a more diverse variety of shows and events at the facility. It is something that's been requested by many of the promoters and attendees at the Civic Center over the years that would enhance our concession operations. Once you approve that, we move forward for the first time in 47 years to issue an RFP to outsource food and beverage concessions for the first time for two reasons. One, because we did have requests from a variety of folks to see if we could enhance the food and beverage operations, and also by the simple fact that we as a city cannot issue a beer permit to ourselves. So with that in mind, we issued proposals. We received a proposal from Bruce Miller Enterprises, who incidentally also has a contract at Bristol Raceway and has some other sites in the city, including Pine Oaks Golf Course, and I believe has a few other communities that he serves as well. So this item is presented for you this evening. It's considered a Class 1 on-premise beer license for Bruce Miller Catering, MaxDog 101. The business is in an R4 zone, although it's a Freedom Hall Civic Center. And we have received a report from the legal department finding no disqualifying factors. And the applicant has been informed of a mandatory presence at the commission meeting, and he is here to come forward to present to you what he's been working on. And if you have any questions of his specific work or what he plans to do, here's the time to ask him.
Good evening. Good. Like I said, I'm Bruce Miller. I am the owner of Bruce Miller Enterprises, along with my family, and we do business as Max Dogs and Catering 101 Food Services. We're here tonight to apply for a beer permit for Freedom Hall.
Are there questions for the applicant?
I'll move for approval.
Have you read the rules and regulations concerning the sale of alcohol inside the city of Johnson City?
Yes, sir.
And do you agree to abide by them?
I agree to buy them.
All right, very good. If there are questions for the applicant or a motion?
I'll move for approval.
A motion?
Second, but I do have a question, I guess, maybe more for Charlie. When would this, I mean, what event, how soon would that be?
Well, as quickly as you approve this, he can get his license tomorrow, and as fast as Bruce is set up to provide the service, he can provide the service.
One of the questions I was going to ask, if I can get the permit, I mean, we got an event tomorrow night, and we're ready to go, and hopefully we can have alcohol plus food. We're ready with the food, but with your approval, we'll move forward and have alcohol beverage available tomorrow night. So
You can get the license tomorrow.
if
so-
you can get if we can get the license in the morning,
Subject to their approval. yes, sir.
subject to your approval, we will work to have it available for the event tomorrow
Well,
night.
you're halfway there. There's a motion and a second.
And then, let me just clarify, it's just beer.
Yeah.
Yep.
Beer license application, yes.
Are we ready to call the roll? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Mayor Wise?
Yes. Now you can get it in the morning.
On the, related to licensure, we have another consideration of the beer license application for Bargain Barn Incorporated, doing business as Grocery Outlet, 1103 North Roan Street, Johnson City. This is item is a Class 2 off-premise beer license application for Bargain Barn, doing business as Grocery Outlet at 1103 North Roan. It's in a B4 business zone. The reports have been received from legal and finding no disqualifying factors. The applicant has been informed of a mandatory presence at this meeting, and we ask that individual to come forward if they're present and answer any questions that the commission may have.
If you'll give your name and address, if you'll stand at the podium, the folks in the control room will.
My name is Kerry Patterson. My address is actually in 409 Bradshaw in Hendersonville, North Carolina. I am a district supervisor for Grocery Outlet. This is our store manager. She sat back down. This is our store manager, Emma Cole. She is a resident of Tennessee.
Are there questions for the applicant? Have you read the rules and regulations concerning the sale of alcohol in Johnson City? And do you agree to abide by them?
Yes.
Is this new for you, for this, or is this a renewal of it?
No, this is new for our Johnson City store. We have beer and wine licenses in Knoxville, Elizabethton, Greenville, and all of our North Carolina stores.
And this is the grocery store right across from Northside School, so, yeah.
Move for approval.
We have a motion. Is there a second? We have a second. If there's not objection, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Brock? Yes. Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Mayor Wise?
Yes. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Next item, we have some road closure requests, including the subject of the Goose Chase / Turkey Trot. And they have requested a soft closure of East State of Franklin, Buffalo Street, West Walnut Street, Boyd Street, West Locust Street, Southwest Avenue, West Pine Street, South Roan Street, East Maple Street, Alabama Street, and Allegiance Street as outlined in the site plan on the page in your packet for the Johnson City Turkey Trot on Thursday, November 25th, beginning at 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. The Special Events Committee, including Traffic, Police, and Public Works, have reviewed the site plan submitted by the Goose Chase and find the proposed closures safe and appropriate, and they recommend to the Board of Commissioners approve these road closures. And of course, from a staff perspective, this is something that we've enjoyed presenting to you every year. We're pretty familiar with the operation, and we certainly have no concerns, and we have Karen Hubbs to answer any questions.
Well, the reason it's back before us too, because we've already approved it, is the construction on State of Franklin. So the course had to be modified slightly, so it'll turn left on Buffalo and then back on Walnut, so.
Correct.
To get back on the same route.
And this did adjust the start just a little bit, but it's all in the same area, so it's not going to be a different road.
I guess my question or concern would be if we'll be able to get the turkey pardoned in time before the race,
Next meeting.
3 weeks
at
from
least
tonight.
until the race is over.
We do. We
Right.
will have to, the mayor have to pardon him at our next meeting, yeah. We
I
need
move
him.
for approval. We have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
And a second. If there's not objection, we'll call the roll on the road closure request modification.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yeah.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Okay, I'll be back.
Thanks.
Another one, you want to just give
Well,
her
do you want to just stay there and
6.4?
we'll just jump ahead
Skip
to
around
6.4?
6.4. We have a road closure request for the Goose Chase, the Jingle Bell Run 5K, and that is requesting a soft closure of King Street, Millard Street, Wellborn Street, East Fairview Avenue, Elm Street, East King, Commerce Street, Wilson Avenue, Winter Street, Hamilton Street, Whitney Street, and Lamont Street as outlined in the site plan that you have before you for your review for the Jingle Bell 5K Run on Sunday, December
No, Saturday.
Excuse me, yeah, there's a typo here, it says Sunday. Yeah, Saturday, December 11th, from 5:30 PM to 7:30 PM. The Special Events Committee, including Traffic, Police, and Public Works, has reviewed the plan submitted by Goose Chase, and they find all the closures safe and appropriate, and therefore recommend approval. So,
Yes.
Motion to approve.
I will say that Miss Commissioner Brock actually gave us the idea when she was in Dallas, when she had the Jingle Bell Run in Dallas, and so we've been trying to do this for a couple years, and finally did it very, very small last year. Gave everybody jingle bells, but we're really excited to do it in the trees of downtown Johnson City and Founders and Kings Common, and I think it's gonna be a good tradition to start around the holiday season.
If everybody ties the bells on their shoes, it's quite an event. You hear
I will
it.
second his motion.
We have a motion and a second. If there's not objection, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
This brings us back up to 6.2, the road closure request for the Johnson City tree lighting. And the Communications and Marketing Department requests a soft closure of King Street and Commerce Street as outlined in the site plan for your review from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturday, November 27th for the city's annual tree lighting. The Special Events Committee has reviewed the site plan. Traffic, Police, Public Works find the closure is appropriate, and it's recommended to the Board of Commissioners that this be approved. And access to Renaissance Bank parking lot will remain open on King and Commerce Streets, and therefore it's recommended for your approval. Andy Heiser's here to answer any questions.
So we are working with the CVB and JCDA this year to present Candyland Christmas, which is sort of a continuation of Christmas in the Park last year that we partnered with Blue Plum to work on. So we'll be not only in Founders Park this year, but King Commons as well, and that's where we'll be holding our tree lighting, and we'll be closing down Commerce Street and King Street so people can mill around there and take advantage of everything that's going on. The tree lighting will begin at 7 p.m. in King Commons. We'll have Indian Trail Intermediate Schools Choir there to open up the event. And then after that, we would encourage everyone, once all the trees are lit, which we're going to light all of them simultaneously, and then we would encourage everyone to go down to the pavilion where we're going to have First Christian Church's choir there singing carols, and we'll also have Our Savior Lutheran Church there giving out hot chocolate and cookies. And once you get good and sugared up and caroled up, you can walk through Founders Park and enjoy the trees there. So that's our plan. Any questions?
Exciting.
What was the date?
Move for approval. 27th. It's the
27th.
Saturday after
Here we go.
Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. If there's not objection, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Mayor Wise?
Yes.
This leaves item 6.3, the road closure request for the 2021 Christmas Parade. And the Blue Plum Organization requests intermittent temporary closures of West Walnut Street, Buffalo Street, Main Street, Colonial Way, State of Franklin Road, and Allegiant Street from 10:30 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. on Saturday, December 4th for the annual Johnson City Christmas Parade. Again, the Special Events Committee is reviewed along with all our departments and recommend approval, and it's for your review and consideration. So we have Representative Blue Plum here to answer any questions.
Are there questions for Ms. Clemens?
We are so excited to be back this year and having the Christmas parade, and would love to invite all the commissioners over to help judge the floats this year. This year's
So
theme
good at
is
that.
the Nutcracker, so.
You do realize that that violates one of the political rules of our former lieutenant governor. He said never judge a cutest baby contest because one person won't remember who the judge was. Everyone else is angry about it.
Well, hopefully no one will be angry.
Okay, very good. So, are there questions or a motion? Move for
Who's going to
approval.
be, is Santa going to be there this year?
Second.
Yeah?
Of course,
Um,
pending your approval.
Okay. Hopefully on the old Seagrave, yeah.
So we have a motion
I'll move for
and
approval.
a second, or we had a second already? All right, so we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Mayor Wise?
Yes,
Thank you, Jan.
thank you.
This brings us to appointments. We have consideration of appointing representatives from the City Commission to the Convention and Visitors Bureau per the adopted bylaws. And it is reminded that the City Commission can formally appoint 2 of its members to serve on the full CBB board. Alternately, the commission could designate one of its members and the city manager to serve on the board, or allow the city manager to appoint a designee to serve on the full CBB board alongside an appointed commissioner. Certainly, it's in your discretion, and we have Brenda Whitson here, Executive Director, should there be any questions of her, but it's before you for your formal consideration.
All right, so we have 2 spots to appoint. Ms. Whitson, would you like to address the commission on it, or do you just want to see what we're about to do? It's always a surprise.
Always a surprise, Mayor, always a surprise. Mayor, I have full-fledged confidence in whomever you appoint to our Convention and Visitors Bureau is going to be someone who represents the city and has great interest in tourism and will do a great job. So I know it'll be the right 2 people, or, whichever.
I make a motion to nominate Vice Mayor Todd Fowler.
Okay, so that's 1.
I'll volunteer myself.
I would
I've
gladly make a
served-
motion to
Yeah.
have Commissioner Brock as 2. Anybody else? We need 2, right, okay. So is there a motion to appoint Commissioner Brock and Vice Mayor Fowler?
Yeah, I make a motion to appoint Vice Mayor Todd Fowler and Commissioner Jenny Brock.
Is there a second?
Second.
And a second, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Mayor Wise?
Yes.
Thank you and welcome aboard.
Thanks.
This brings you to your consent agenda for review and consideration.
All right. Commissioner Murphy?
Yes, sir.
Do you have anything you'd like to, yeah, I'm gonna do this a little while. Yeah. Do you have anything you'd like to pull?
Yes, sir. Item number 8.1.4 and 8.1.5.
All right, Vice Mayor, do you have anything to pull?
8.1 point, I think they took one of them out, so it changed numbers. The final payment for Thomas Construction, 8.1.9.
.9. So is that it for you?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Brock?
That goes along with what Commissioner Murphy pulled, 8.1.6, that's companion to that on ESG funds, and 1.7.
And 7, all right. And
You said it on 7?
Commissioner Hunter?
8.4.1.
8.4.1.
I do have one more.
Okay. Commissioner Brock, what's the other?
8.2.1.
8.2.1. Okay. Has that got everybody? That have everybody? Okay. So I guess we'll just do them in the order they appear, unless Mr. Stahl has a different idea. The first one is the CDBG CARES Act between Fairview Housing and the Johnson Development Services. So, hello.
Hello. I will be representing Preston tonight. He had a family emergency, so what would be the questions that you have?
So, 8.1.4 and 8.1.5, they go hand in hand, so we probably can knock my concern out.
Okay.
For both of those. So I see that that is recommended that we give $522,539 to Manor House. I mean, that's for Manor House and Salvation Army, yes. So my concern is if we're going to trust these two organizations to steward the funds to help those with housing and shelter and things like that, is there room for those who are addicted to opioids? Is it room for those who may be intoxicated? Because based on my experience in the community, there's no space for those neighbors who have a need. We have a huge opioid epidemic in our community. And I know that some of these organizations, if you don't pass a drug test, you cannot stay on their property. So I wanted to make sure, are these organizations create room? Are they going to have spaces for those who may?
I actually do not know the answer to that question. Mr. Stahl, do you have?
I do not know.
Yeah, but
I would add to his question, what was the process that these two were selected for this CARES money? So Mr. McLean's coming up, so he might be able to.
Good afternoon, I'm Richard McLean with Johnson City Housing Authority. So I think I'd answer your questions you have regarding the contracts for those two grants. Those two grants are focused on primarily any service that focuses on COVID-19. So any monies spent on those grants has to be directly tied to COVID-19 quarantines or some related services for COVID. So given the grant, the way it's set up, it could serve people for many different needs, but as long as the primary need is for COVID-19. So we're basically adding shelter space in the city at Manor House. So the idea is they're going to buy another house and convert it over to adding more shelters for anyone they serve through the Manor House program, which there is a lot of addiction, work that they do there. So I think you could feel assured that they would be serving some of those people that you're asking about, like the opioid type people. But the goal of the goal we have overall is that we have to have in that space additional quarantine areas for COVID-19 folks. So, and then at the Salvation Army, they're going to be reconfiguring their entire facilities to accommodate more people and to be more diverse in how they serve the population, because some of the areas they have now currently are not really set up for families and that sort of thing. So they have different groups of people that are coming for service, and traditionally they've been set up male, female. And so, one area would be less utilized, like the female area may be underutilized, and the male area might be overcrowded. So through this major reconfiguration of the facility, they're going to add more family type spaces or spaces for those who don't identify primarily male or female. So it's going to expand the population of people that can be served in the city, and it's going to add a bunch more space that we don't have at the Salvation Army. And they've struggled through the quarantine problems with COVID, and they had it limited some of their capacities because you had social distancing and things requirements there. So during the major height of the pandemic, we had lower utilization of the Salvation Army than we would like because the space wasn't really set up for quarantine type functions. So through these renovations, it'll expand the quarantine functions that they need to have to be more compliant as well. So those are some of the things we're trying to do with these two.
May I ask a question? So one who has contracted COVID-19 and high opioids, can they stay?
Yes.
Are you positive?
Yes, they can. I mean,
Okay.
So once the building's built, it'll be over time. COVID-19 might go away. We don't know what will happen in the future, but it'll be a permanent shelter for a wide variety of needs.
And the reason why I asked that question, because I had conversation with one of these organizations yesterday trying to get someone housed who was homeless but could not pass a drug test. And that person was not given the opportunity to stay. They had to sleep on the street last night. So that's the concern I have, that we're going to provide shelter for all people of our community who need it. And homeless people, they do turn to things to help numb the pain of being homeless. So we need to take that in consideration.
Well, there's some services available through Frontier Health for those type of folks, and the Johnson City Housing Authority works closely with them, providing shelters for them. And so we do have space through Frontier Health to accommodate those people. They just probably need to go check with them at the Turning Point Center. There is a great place for those folks to go, and they'll coordinate some housing and other services for them to help them with addiction problems. So that would be my recommendation, is for those people be directed towards Frontier Health and a Turning Point for those type of services.
Thank you.
May I
Does that
ask you a
address the
question?
Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry. I want to just follow, and then the question the additional question I have too. So if someone presented themselves at, let's say, Salvation Army, they needed emergency shelter, but they were intoxicated, would they be allowed to stay? That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they have white flag days. When they raise their white flag, they lower the standards, and they tend to accept people on really cold nights and things like that. So they have a set of emission standards that may turn them away on some days, but during extreme weather conditions, they raise the white flag, and that white flag indicates that they'll accept anybody, basically, and not turn them down because of the bad weather. So I think that's part of their policies. I mean, I can't fully speak on all that, but that's kind of a general way that they operate there.
I guess the other part of that, this is quite a sizable amount of money that would be given to them, that if the current rules, though, however, if it wasn't freezing and they could be turned away, kind of discriminate, as a result of certain conditions of this homeless person. So that is a concern of mine. But my other question was, what was the process? Were other people allowed to apply for these grants?
Yes, there's a third applicant that we didn't get to serve, or it's really like Frontier Health has a proposal to expand the suicide hotline call center there at Turning Point Center, which I felt like was a very viable request that they had, but there wasn't funds available to provide that. But in the event that any of these other two projects fail to be fulfilled, then we have a third one waiting to pick up in case we could go take on that, which I think would be a very great thing to do, because the COVID-19 generated a lot of suicide calls for the hotline, and they need to expand that center. And I think that would be a great thing to do if something doesn't go through with these other two projects. But that would probably come back to you guys for another approval, I believe, if that were to occur. But it is a third request that came in a little bit after the deadline, and it was late. But being that this money had to be COVID-19, and there was a lot of restrictions on how it had to be spent, we had several other projects that we'd like to have done in the city, but none of those could be tied directly to a COVID-19 related activity. So it really limited what we could actually do with these funds.
So these two organizations are also, in addition to that, are going to get ESG funds,
Right.
correct? And so those funds will be used how?
So the ESG is more focused on services like paying past due rents, or paying rents to get people into housing, and providing some certain services. Where these community development block grant money is more towards building and construction, which the ESG funds don't really go for very well for the construction related activities. So these are much more focused on construction related costs. So it's a better fit to use these to acquire or expand shelters.
So that effectively, did that answer your 8.1.6 and 7 questions? Okay. Are there other questions for Mr. McLean while he's at the podium? I don't guess so. Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you.
The next pulled item was consider approval of final balancing change order number 1 and final pay request number 9 for Thomas Construction on the Upper Reedy Creek Sewer Interceptor and Force Main project.
And you really don't have to answer any questions. It's more just letting people know that Thomas Construction came in at $118,000 under budget for that. So that is a big savings for the water sewer people doing that. So I just wanted
But
to
if you have a
them.
victory dance or something you want to do, it'd be all
That's
right.
what we like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we enjoy saving money from people, so thanks.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
All right, thank you. Okay, the next item is a bid, 8.2.1 Summers Taylor West Walnut Street redevelopment project. Mr. Best.
Mr. Best, my question, as we look at the, let me get to it. There were going to be some changes as a result of all this. And some of it was a little concerning for me, but maybe it's because I don't understand it. So significant design changes, including shortening the deceleration lane on University Parkway to avoid buying property on Maple, adding permeable paver parking, which is great, and changing the bike lane on Walnut Street from Ernest to Buffalo to parking. So just talk about the impact there. I mean, we had a concept and a design for West Walnut Street. We're going to see some changes here. So what impact is this going to have?
This item, this was previously brought before you, and I believe the number was actually incorrect, is what this on the agenda is. So it's just correcting that number to the correct amount. But there will be some changes as we go through and start looking at property acquiring and things of that nature. A lot of these design changes are to minimize our cost of acquiring some properties. And as we go through it and we look into the design, or as the developer or contractor, goes through, they also make suggestions of what we could do to maybe value engineer this a little bit and make some changes. The overall concept is still there. It hasn't changed dramatically. And there may be some more changes that we'd have to be brought back before you as we get further along in it. The most of the work at this point in time that has been done is mostly water and sewer work. So we're still working on drainage, trying to get drainage underneath the railroad tracks and some of those things ironed out right now. And we're also finding utilities and stuff that were not necessarily marked at this time.
Does it remove the bike lane?
No, not for the entire project. It's not my understanding, but I'll confirm that with the.
Move it in any section of it?
I will have to double check. I do not know that. I'll check with our engineer and see if that was indeed.
I'd really like
I have not
to
saw that
know,
plan where they
yeah.
removed it.
Yeah. I mean, that was one of the key concepts of that corridor, and so if there's gonna be changes there, I think we need
Correct.
to
I
understand
have not
it.
been in that discussion, but I will try to find out that information.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Other questions for Mr. Best? All right, thank you, sir.
you.
I think the last item that was pulled was a proposal from KCI Technologies, and it relates to the MTPO.
Yeah, this project this has been done in the past. This is a periodic update of the transportation plan. This is required by federal government regarding the receipt of federal funds to be applied to various road projects and improvements within the Johnson City Regional MPO. This includes local and state highway projects as well as mass transit funds. So this is a document that will be based on the allocation of funds after it's issued. There were 3 submitted proposals, and of the 3, they did some ranking, and KCI Technologies was recommended as the firm that best met the tasks outlined in the RFQ, and there is a total cost of $213,376. 80% of that is federal funds, 5% state, and our local funding is $32,006, and it is recommended by the MPO group to award this to KCI Technologies to move forward with the plan.
Commissioner Hunter, you had asked to pull it. Did that address the question?
No, that's great. Thank you.
Okay, thank
I
you.
do have a question, our portion of it, the 32,000, is that a budgeted item?
It is a budget item, yes. In fact, this was presented to you in the budget process, and I think Glenn was here at some prior meeting, even touched on the forthcoming plan coming before you.
Mayor, I've got one more.
Okay,
8.1.12. The agreement with the chamber.
okay, so that one is yours. Sorry here, so we'll come back to.
This is the Young Professionals Program.
Yeah, the agreement. So I'm assuming chamber has reviewed and are in agreement and ready to move forward if we approve.
Well, Bob's here, just while asking that question, that, did you hear his question, Bob?
I did not. Oh, sorry. I was just curious if the chamber's reviewed, if in agreement, if we approve it tonight, or.
Yes.
Or is it coming to us and then going to you all and then coming back, or?
We've actually authorized the MOU.
Okay.
Based upon the understanding. We actually had 2 or 3 different iterations of that. So, and that includes the appointment of a commission representative on our board of directors. And in regards to the YP program, it's already started. Mackenzie Templeton was hired September 1st. She's already planned events and for November, December. We're having a summit in January where we bring as many YP young professionals together to kind of fine tune our programming that they're looking for. Our November 16th event, we planned on 60, 70 people there. we already have about 100 RSVP'd. So we're very excited of what analytics are on the social media, and we're building the website as we speak. So we're moving forward, and it's gaining a lot of momentum. And we're contacted by a couple of employers, Eastman specifically, to get more information about it. So.
Is Commissioner Hunter technically a young professional?
I'm not qualified to.
I just want to know where the line is.
We've not approved yet.
39
years old. 39,
Oh,
okay.
All right. I just missed the cut.
Just missed it.
21 to 39.
Okay, thank you. Are there other questions for Mr. Cantler while he's at the podium? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And I was going to pull, there is one item involving the CVB 8.1.2. Ms. Whitson, do you want to just explain what's this different item
Oh,
for you?
I was going to
Thank
say,
you.
I thought I was one too.
It's not on our agenda right now.
Oh, I thought it was
So I guess
embedded
we'll
in
look at that next month, or next.
Yeah, I mean, that'll be a
session.
separate action item. Right now, you're just approving the MOU.
Okay.
And then we can appoint the appointment
Right.
at a future meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Ms. Whitson, do you want to just address what's happening in 8.1.2?
I bet you.
And tell us when you found out about it.
This afternoon, and I have read it, and there was a question that I had regarding the last item on it regarding taxes, and Mr. Peterson did address that with me in saying that the CVB, the city is not, doesn't pay taxes, nor would the CVB, since we're exempt, because I had a concern, thinking we would be paying property taxes on the building. So he did clarify that, but the amount for the lease is what we had talked about early on, so everything else on it was fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're
I
welcome.
think we've addressed everything that was pulled, so is there a motion for approval? We have a motion to approve the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. If there's not objection, we'll call the roll. Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Brock.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter.
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler.
Yes.
Mayor Wise.
Yes.
This takes us to ordinances. First item is ordinances first reading. We have ordinance number 4794-21, first reading, an ordinance to contracting the city limits of the city of Johnson City, Tennessee by approximately 1/2 acre at the intersection of Gray Station Road and Delmer's Salts Road. This is before you for your review, and we have Peyton here to answer any questions you may have about the intent of this ordinance.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Peyton Bourne. I'm a young professional here myself. And tonight I have before you a request for a de-annexation off of Gray Station Road where it intersects with Delmer Salts Road. Roger Varan requested de-annexation of about a 1/2 acre undeveloped lot. He is also the owner of this lot up here. This entire area was originally a part of the 2012 Suncrest involuntary annexation, and since then, several of the properties around him, as you can see, have actually been de-annexed, but for some reason, this property right here has not yet been de-annexed. So in order to meet the de-annexation criteria, you have to meet these 6 requirements right here. And the property actually meets all of these 6 requirements, and therefore it is eligible for the de-annexation criteria.
How did we miss it when all the other de-annexation happened?
One little lot in between the other ones we de-annexed.
Right, it's got the snaggletooth for it. I'm not sure. I know that you guys adopted the de-annexation policy in 2018. I'm not sure exactly what the de-annexation timeline was for the areas around. I believe it was kind of piecemealed. Property owners came by, a little here, a little there, and I guess it was just something that got overlooked. So, I will leave you guys with a vicinity map. As you can see, like I said, most of the other areas are de-annexed around it. Staff is recommending approval because it does meet the necessary eligibility criteria.
I would move for approval.
We have a motion. Is there a
Second.
second? A motion and a second. If there's not objection, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Brock.
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter.
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler.
Yes.
Mayor Wise.
Yes.
This brings us to ordinances under third reading. We have ordinance number 4790-21, An ordinance to rezone 16.97 acres along South Austin Springs Road at Cobb Creek from R3 medium residential to RP3 planned residential to allow for a 77-lot subdivision. So this is before you for, on the third reading. And if you have any questions.
Well, there's no one from staff even here, so I don't know.
Sorry.
Has anything changed?
Nothing has changed.
Okay, no changes. Are there questions for Whitney while she's there?
I would move for approval.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. If there's not objection, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Mayor Wise?
Yes.
This brings us to ordinance number 4791-21 under third reading, an ordinance to rezone .21 acres at 312 and 316 South Commerce Street from I-2 Heavy Industrial District and B3 supporting Central Business District to MX1 Mixed Use Neighborhood District for your review.
The only thing that I would add to this is a request that in any motion, if you were to approve, to consider parking. As part of our ordinance, the commission does need to allocate public parking, and up to 2 spaces is what they would need.
That's a part of the request.
Is a
though.
part of the request, yes.
That's parking that's already in Founder's Park.
Correct.
At the end of
It's-
it.
Yes, and it's adjacent to this property.
2 spaces.
Hmm?
2
2
spaces.
spaces.
I move for approval on third reading
Second.
With that caveat.
With the caveat.
with that caveat
Yeah,
with
okay,
2
so-
spaces.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Call the roll.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Mayor Wise?
Yes.
And this brings us to ordinance number 4793-21 under third reading, an ordinance to rezone approximately 2 acres at 2311 Knob Creek Road from R2 District to PB District to use the existing building as office space.
There have also been no changes for this one.
Move for approval.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. If there's not objection, we'll call the roll.
Commissioner Brock?
Yes.
Commissioner Hunter?
Yes.
Commissioner Murphy?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Fowler?
Yes.
Mayor
Oh,
Wise?
so- Yes, sorry. Jumping the gun, I'm so excited to vote for that one. All right.
And next item, and I'm looking for Sunny Santa, she's running back into the building, I'm
There
not
she
sure.
is. I see
You see her?
At the door.
All righty.
Here she comes. Hey.
She's got little people.
She has a crew with her, I think.
Yeah.
so. There they
Some
come.
security with her.
Yep. Yep, she's got some Taekwondo support. So anyhow, we have a consider approval of a mediated settlement agreement regarding Baker's Construction Services as soon as the black belt gets situated. And,
the ARC grant downtown project. So if you were downtown last year on Buffalo Street or East Market Street, that was this project. So it included lining the main sewer line down Buffalo Street. We also lined the sewer line on East Market Street and then replaced the water line on East Market Street. That one also was closed earlier this year on July the 15th. It came in on time and under budget. And here is also the final work for both Public Works and Water and Sewer. So ended up turning out really well. Upper Reedy Creek Phase 1. So this was the other portion of the project. We closed out Phase 2 earlier on tonight's commission agenda, but Phase 1 was about 5,000 feet of gravity sewer line on Kiefhofer Road. That one came in on time and under budget as well. July the 15th, we closed that one out on commission. And then this was Upper Reedy Creek Phase 2, which was closed out and approved earlier tonight. And here's the final sewer pump station that was installed. This was kind of near Sailor Road and Boone Station Road, kind of near the new Chestnut Cove subdivision, if you drive out that way. Galvanized replacement annual project. So this one was also approved on tonight's commission agenda to close it out. It was replacing 12,000 feet of galvanized water lines in 2 different areas. Oak Grove Road, kind of off State Route 36, and then also West Market Street, kind of in Johnson City itself. And then here's just a couple pictures of the galvanized water line being replaced with the new ductile iron water line. And here's a hydrant that was installed there. So projects under delivery. These are projects that are currently in construction right now. So the EDA grant, Brush Creek blower and electrical replacement. So if you look at the bottom right corner here, This is our existing equipment building at the Brush Creek campus. So we're doing interior and exterior architectural improvements here. These are actually 4 existing blowers at the plant now. They're all being replaced by 4 new blowers that just came in from Belgium. We have new electrical switchgear that's also being installed. This project has a $1.5 million EDA grant that we received. So, but it'll be, the end product when we finish early next year will be significant replacement of these 1971 and 1985 equipment. So here's kind of some other pictures of this project. This is new electrical duct bank that was installed. This was the steel reinforcement, and then right after this, we made a concrete pour for the new loading dock behind the building. And then this is actually one of those new blowers I just mentioned before it was unwrapped. And here's one of the new electrical switchgear that was replacing switchgear that was well past a useful service life. Lower Brush Creek Interceptor project, y'all have heard about this one. This is over 21,000 feet of 42-inch gravity sewer line. So we ended up breaking it into 2 different contracts. Contract 1, Garney Companies has been working on lately. They've installed over 8,300 feet to date of that 42-inch pipe. And then contract 2 was approved to Garney Companies as well on the October 21st commission agenda just a few weeks ago. So kind of this map just shows the breaking point between where Brush Creek wastewater treatment plant is here, and then you see where the divider is, where contract 1 ends and where contract 2 will begin. Contract 2, we're hoping to have start sometime early next year as well. But here's just a few pictures of that contract 1 project. So you see the significant amount of sewer bypass pumping that has to be set up. Here's just a laydown area of 42-inch PVC pipe. Here's kind of all the equipment set up for a new 8-foot diameter manhole and the bedding conditions for a new 42-inch piece of PVC pipe. Same thing for them setting in 120-foot piece here. And like I said, they're right around 8,300 feet has been in the ground so far for contract 1. So a little over 60% for contract 1.
Do we still have the trail surface on the drawing board anyway?
At this time, no ma'am, we were just focusing on getting the sewer line installed. And then here's just a base of another manhole, kind of the significant amount of rock they've also hit in certain spots as well. The Unicoi spring house and collection system, this is actually a picture of the existing spring house up in Unicoi County. That was installed around 1910. So the existing spring house supplies about 3 million gallons of water every day to Johnson City. So currently we're under construction of a new spring house. So here's kind of some pictures of that.
I was there yesterday. It's quite interesting.
So they're making great progress up there. So this was the first picture. You can see the steel reinforcement set up before, as they're making the original slab pour up for the concrete. And then here you see the formwork set up before they made the wall pour itself. So this is where they're getting ready to make the wall pour. Here's after the walls have cured and they actually have several little gates installed. And then these are necessary valves on the outside of the structure itself. So at this point, we're actually starting to begin the masonry work, kind of put the block on the outside of the building. They've already filled up to this point. So this one's going really well for the new spring house itself. Lift station phase out. We have about 20% of our sewer lift stations in our system we can phase out by gravity. So the benefit to that is you don't have the ongoing operations and maintenance costs. Phase 1 we did a couple years ago near Lake Ridge Elementary and St. Mary's Church. Phase 2 is Boone Trail Baptist Church area on Carroll Creek Road. So if you drive that from Boone Trail Baptist to Terra Court, they're working right now. We have a contractor out there. They've installed about 3,000 feet of gravity sewer. They're about halfway done. So they've hit a significant amount of rock, but they're making good progress so far. And then the water sewer service center replacement. So our existing water sewer service complex is off Riverview Drive. We purchased a property at the end of Eddie Williams Road. So September 16th, just a couple months ago, we did the groundbreaking there. We're continuing on with the site grading for the new service center itself. It's going really well so far. So here's kind of a rendering of what the main building will look like on the final product. And if you're looking at the site, this is if you're driving in off of Eddie Williams Road. The new building will be here. So we'll have a new warehouse and several other additional structures here on the site itself.
And when will that be ready?
Right now, we're hoping for end of calendar year 2022, end of next year, to be able to be occupied in the new building. So as of now, the site grading, here's a picture of the groundbreaking from a couple months ago that went really well.
It's a great picture. Some good people I know in there.
So the site grading, they're making significant progress on. They've done most of it. They've actually started doing building foundations for 2 of the smaller buildings as well. So that's kind of where we're at on this one. They haven't started on any of the building foundations for building 1, which would be right here. That'll start probably towards the end of this calendar year. West Hills tank repair and repainting. So if you drive State of Franklin Road, kind of above Indian Ridge Road, you see the tank with all the equipment on it. That's this tank now. So this tank was last recoated in 1999. We try to stay close to a 20-year recoating, repainting process with these steel tanks. So this is currently under construction. So kind of here's some pictures. This is the inside of the tank if you're kind of looking up, if you came in from the hatch door here and looked up. They're actually repainting the inside and the outside. So they're almost done with the first, what they call the prime coat, the first coat on the inside. And then starting next week, potentially, weather dependent, they're going to start on the first layer outside. So you'll start seeing them painting on the outside of the tank possibly next week.
It's going to be blue.
It's going to be blue again, yes. West Walnut Street water and sewer replacement. So the overall project was awarded at September 15th. I'll just show kind of a couple highlights on the water and sewer side. As Andy said earlier, that's mainly what they're focusing on right now, kind of the first step of the project itself. So if you drove State of Franklin Road the last few weeks near Ernest Street, they were actually relocating a 16-inch water line. So that's what they were doing for several weeks, kind of some pictures and the amount of work that goes in there just to lower it. They end up lowering it 5 feet, but with the size pipe, it's a pretty significant effort to do that. And then on the sewer side, a lot of the work done in State of Franklin Road was all done at night just based on traffic control. So this is actually a new sewer line that was installed at Sevier Street in State of Franklin Road just about 2 weeks ago.
So the State of Franklin piece of that project, it wasn't relocating it to a different place, it was just relocating lower?
Lower, correct. So there was an existing 16-inch water line. It was lowered because there's going to be a new stormwater pipe that's going to be coming over it. So it was lowered out of the way.
Okay.
2009 Eastward water expansion. So this is a project that we're actually going to be starting construction in just a couple weeks, November the 15th. GRC was awarded this in July earlier this year. So it'll be eliminating some booster pump stations, enhancing some water storage west of I-26. The first phase, which is what on this map you see is line A and B, it's kind of the Swadley Road and King Springs Road area. So that it'll be a new 12-inch water line that we're installing. And then here's a couple projects we plan to advertise later this year. The B2E Sanitary Sewer Rehab. So this is our next annual rehab project on the sewer side. It's kind of in the Rolling Hills, Sinking Creek Road area of Johnson City. So we're going to be advertising this to bid this upcoming Sunday, and then we hope to open bids in December and probably have contractor on site probably next spring. And then the Brush Creek Wastewater Treatment Lab Building architectural improvements. On the Brush Creek campus, we have 3 buildings we kind of want to do some architectural improvements to. This is the lab building here. So it'll be both interior and exterior architectural improvements, new windows, new facing. And then here, you'll see the pump and blower buildings. It's just architectural improvements on the outside only there. And then kind of some other projects that we, just in the design phase of, that I'll probably advertise to bid sometime next year. Suncrest Sewer area, so kind of our phase 3 lift station phase out area. There's 2 E1 sewer pump stations will phase out, and we'll also provide gravity sewer for service kind of in Gray Station Road and Suncrest Drive, kind of in that corridor. There's 2 TDOT projects, so this is kind of where the Tri-Cities Airport and Northeast State are. There'll be some water and sewer relocation there as part of State Route 75. And then State Route 107 out in Unicoi, just a water relocation for a new bridge that they're doing out there. These are both supposed to let, so supposed to bid potentially next March. And then galvanized replacement. So there's, in our next annual water replacement for galvanized, we have kind of 2 areas: Oak Grove Road off of Kingsport Highway, State Route 36, and also the East Millard, East Myrtle area in Johnson City. So kind of just a rendering of that. Commission, y'all approved this for the design in September, so we're kind of just beginning the design of this one now, just the big preliminary surveying so far. Sinking Creek Sewer Pump Station upgrade. So this is actually our largest sewer pump station in our system. It's you'll see about 2 million gallons a day average flow, but up to 7 million gallons per day kind of in peak flow situations. So we actually received a $2 million grant a few months back from EDA. So part of this project is it'll involve new pumps, a new standby generator. It'll actually have a new screening structure will be installed here. So we're now in the final design stage. Our hope is to bid this out sometime late next year in 2022. And then C Sewer Pump Station. So this is an existing pump station from the 1970s off Boring Chapel Road. kind of a similar situation, just trying to upgrade the station, a new wet well, new electrical equipment, new pumps. And then the B sewer force main project, so out in the Boones Creek area. So B sewer lift station is right next to Boone Lake. So we're actually in the design process right now of a new 30-inch sewer pressurized force main that'll go down Flowerville Road and kind of go cross country and end up at the D sewer lift station on Honeacre Court. So kind of additional flow, bypass one station for better capacity out in the regional system of our sewer system. And then the lower Boones Creek Interceptor project. So if you go out on exit 17, TDOT had the Boones Creek interchange. This will pick up right past that and go all the way to Boone Lake for a new gravity sewer line to upgrade for additional capacity out in the regional system. So 12,000 feet. We're just in the preliminary. We're in the 30% stage right now of design for this one. And this is just some other highlights for other projects we have going on. On the water treatment side, we do continuous rehab of our raw water pumps in a phased manner. Right now, kind of a highlight here, 1937, 1838. We're actually in the design stage of a new water line, kind of going from Bright Ridge to the railroad trestle on Boones Creek Road. So they'll kind of enhance additional water capacity out on that side of our system. And then kind of on the sewer side, just to hit a few highlights. Screw pump number 1 at Knob Creek, we replaced that one last year. We're actually in the process now of replacing screw pump number 2. Both of those were from the 1970s, kind of just additional equipment necessary for ongoing maintenance of those at that facility. And then here kind of on the technology plan implementation, SCADA water and sewer master plan, we hope to have that for consideration for commission approval later this year as well. And then we also are trying to reach out to a consultant for AMI phasing for smart metering. And then quick highlights on some force account projects. If you go out to Town Acres Elementary School, right across the street is our Town Acres lift station. So our guys have installed a new standby generator there. They've actually done significant grading work and actually had the whole entranceway to the station paved. So just significant upgrades there for our existing station. And then these are just some highlighted projects our own in-house crews have done since May of this year. So WR is water replacement, W is a water line extension. And then kind of ones that we have going on now, Highland Church Road, and these are ones that are, currently underway.
On the standby generators that you talked about in Town Acres?
Yes.
Is that temporary, or will that stay there?
It'll stay there, so it'll be a permanent one. We've been trying to do one of these per year if we can. So what we end up doing is we purchase the standby generator ahead of time, and then our guys will, when they have time, we'll have them installed.
Do anything to put any fencing around them or anything to make it look better?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, we have one on Holly Hill. I know it's not yours where you turn in there that just sits out in the open.
So on this one, we usually for these sites, when we add a standby generator, we actually have it re-fenced as well with new black vinyl fencing. And at this Town Acre site, we also work with screening around the site as well. Yeah.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thanks.
Thanks, John. Next thing, we have a presentation from Brian Bentley on the Johnson City Golf Update. As he's coming up, I think when we had the pandemic beginning 18 months plus ago, we shut a lot of things down in the city and recreation. And one thing we didn't shut down was golf. And I think the public response to golf over the past 18 months was in some ways surprising, and in other ways it was well received, so we were very happy to see some of the responses.
Yeah, it's been a lot of exciting stuff out of Pine Oaks. Just thought I'd share a few things with you. First, just going to go over some projects that our maintenance team. I know maintenance team is probably as small as it's been, maybe in its history. So these guys have been out there working around all the golfers that we've had out there. But one of the big projects we attacked this year was some bunker improvements. Not only do they look better with the mounting and the edging that they did, but it helped with maintenance, getting bunker rakes into them, and it helps with playability as well. And we changed up some mowing patterns around there that helps the golfers in those areas as well. We looked at some tee boxes. A lot of our tee boxes need work. This is the one on number 15. You can see the top picture there as kind of a before picture. The front of it is very sloped. couldn't really use a lot of the front tee box, and it just was a very unattractive area. So our guys built a little retaining wall, and as you can see, made it a ton better right there. And there's a lot of traffic that comes in that area. So we lost a big tree on hole 17, I think maybe the year before I got here. So there was a safety issue out there on 17 tee box. So we've done some mounding, and we've planted some trees to kind of protect people on 17 tee box coming from hole 16 there. And along with the golf boom, we have seen
Vice Mayor's golf cart.
we have seen this year.
Thank you.
This year more so even than last year, we've seen a lot more cart wrecks. So we've posted a lot more signage on the course on our extreme hills about the hill coming up, that if maybe somebody hadn't been there, that they don't know it's going to be as severe. And then just a lot of people inexperienced on golf carts as well. But we have posted several signage up on the golf course this year as well. Some new equipment that has been purchased by the golf department here is the top there is a new top dresser. As you can see, just the one we had before, the spread and everything on that. And as you can see on the course pictures, the fertilizer and sand and everything is just getting dispersed a lot evenly and a lot wider spread. The machine on the right there, that's probably the one I was most excited about. That's a reel grinder. Before was probably sharpening our reels once a year during the off season. So now we've got one in-house that we can sharpen as needed. And then down at the bottom there is our new bunker rake as well, which was probably one of our more dated equipment that we replaced. Taking a look at some numbers, as you can see, pre-pandemic, our rounds were 25,600. And then in our fiscal year last year, where we saw the big spike in golf, we increased to 32,639 rounds, which was an increase of 27%. So taking a look at this year, you know, the question was, how could we keep up with that boom in golf? And as you can see, we started out at a great pace of keeping up with it. July, August, September, we've all seen double-digit percentage increases in rounds. July being the biggest one there with 25% increase in rounds. We did 4,200 rounds in the month of July. So we're still seeing golfers come out. October got us with a few weeks of bad weather, but that was in October of 2020. That was a double in revenue and everything from 2019. So that was a big month to keep up with. But even with that, July through October, we're still up 12% in rounds, which is 1,568 rounds in those 4 months. So as you can see, it's been a busy year, even the second year of coming through this. Our practice facility that we opened June 24th of 2020, the first fiscal year that it was open, we sold almost 2,500 small buckets and just over 5,000 large buckets. We sell those at $3.50 and $7. And as you can see there, the original cost to open it was $41,196. And in the first year, we paid for it at $41,393. So even with the traffic on the course, we're seeing a lot of traffic of new golfers and even experienced golfers utilizing our range. And through the first 4 months of this fiscal year, we're up 25%. Even on that revenue, we're up over $3,000 in those first 4 months. Our merchandise sales are still a nice addition out there to Pine Oaks. In the first fiscal year there, from FY20 to FY21, we saw a 38% increase, a little over $13,000. So this year, our goal was to keep that trend going. And again, through the first 4 months of this fiscal year, we're up 8% there. We're at just over $20,000, where before was at about $18,600. So total revenues, our FY20 was $535,000, and our FY21 was $724. So $724,000. So saw an increase of 35%. So again, our goal out there is to keep that trend going. So in the first 4 months, we're just over $300,000 as compared to $268,000 in FY21. So we're still seeing a nice trend that we're up 14% on that. Some of that's contributed to our outings coming back this year. Here's a nice list of a lot of outings we had. A lot of fundraisers for local school events that had lost a lot of revenue to loss of gate ticket money last year. Some charities in there, Isaiah House. And then some of the things that we're most proud of out Pine Oaks is that we're home to the First Tee out there, where we have 4 classes a week. And they do a spring, summer, and fall session. And we also are home to a PGA Junior League team. And that's coached by Jeremy Beechner, who's a PGA professional. And what's exciting about the PGA Junior program is that they had a group of 13 and under golfers from the Tri-Cities go and compete in the national tournament in Arizona. And that was televised on ESPN2. So they were one of 12 teams in the nation to compete out there, and they were the first team from Tennessee. So we had a group of 13 and unders from Kingsport, Bristol, and Johnson City, all representing the state of Tennessee. And then the last meeting we had with the Golf Advisory Board, they approved a small rate increase coming up for the 22 season. We did a little research, and that we were the cheapest golf by far in the region, which it is the mission of Pine Oaks to be the most affordable option for golf in our area and to be a place where anybody can come play. But we felt like we needed to be just a little bit more competitive with our prices. But saying that, our prices on our daily rates range anywhere from $1 increase to a $4 increase. So it's a very minimal increase. So as you can see there, if you came and rode 18 holes right now on the weekend, it'd cost you $33. Next season, it will cost you $35. So it's just a minimal increase there. And our Health Walk initiative, that's 2 hours before sunset. You can pay $9 now to walk as much as you like. Next year will be $10 to walk as much as you like. Our annual passes, those will go up anywhere from 4 to 6%. Again, just kind of getting a little closer to a lot of the different golf courses in our area to their prices.
How many people participate in the health walk?
It has increased in popularity each year. Some afternoons will have anywhere from 25, and then depending, sometimes if the weather is bad, not as many, but we've seen it all the way up to 25 or so. They're standing at the door waiting on the
Golfers.
waiting on the discount. Taking a look at a spreadsheet here, just kind of showing you a couple of golf courses in the area that I feel like that we represent pretty close to. The highlighted boxes on the top spreadsheet are showing you that we're the cheapest rate across the board there. So with the adjusted rates in the bottom spreadsheet, you can see that even with the adjustment, we're either tied for the cheapest or we're still the most affordable option there in the area. So again, I think it still provides us, keeping us with our mission to be the place that people can come, experience golf, but also be as competitive in our prices as we can be as well. Thank y'all for y'all time.
Thank you. Are there questions about the golf presentation?
Thank you.
I'll just make one comment. Of course, I have to. Brian, several years ago, the senior league, I think, stopped playing at Pine Oaks, and this is a group of senior men that can easily number over 100 who come and play, and they play once a week somewhere. They returned this year.
Yeah, had them just.
And they were out there. I saw your date, it was October the 18th, and I happened to be at the golf course when they were finishing. And one of the gentlemen came over to talk to me and just went on and on and on about the condition of Pine Oaks and what great shape it was in. Said, we only have planned one round here, But the guys are talking, they'd like to come 2 or 3 times
yeah.
during the year, so.
They're already in my ear.
I think you've picked up some business, but what you really picked up is just the enhancement of our reputation in the community, because all 100 of those men will go out and talk about, and the other thing he said to me, how great it is to work with you guys. So kudos to you, and it's just really a great place of pride now.
Well, I think Brian and the staff have done a tremendous job. Obviously, they're very committed and dedicated, but I think as well, he's been helped tremendously by this city commission and the recent commissions in past years by the reinvestment in the golf course. If that didn't happen, this man couldn't do what he's doing and producing the results. So we're not done yet. We're still, and he's working very closely with the Tennessee Golf Foundation. There's still a goal to have a learning facility in partnership with the Golf Foundation, which actually they would provide and pay for a full-time staff member to do on-site education there. Obviously the cost of construction's gone up significantly, so they're trying to find an opportunity to build the structure. Hopefully they could do this next year. And we obviously recognize that part of that reinvestment will be obviously paving out the golf course. We even have in our capital plan coming to you, I think there's even a new clubhouse would ideally be looked at, because as we're approaching our 60th year in 2023, I think the plaque says 1963 on it, and so it's certainly the continuing reinvestment is paying off, and I thank you and thank you all for your continuing support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Before we adjourn, are there items commissioners wish to share? I'll warn Commissioner Murphy, he's going to go first here in a minute. If there are committees or boards you're serving on or updates to provide back to the commission, Commissioner Murphy?
I'm just glad to serve this community.
I guess I'll get back to the CVB here, so that'll be good to get back involved. They just announced that they're having got another softball tournament coming in 2023 with the 18 and under girls national tournament here, which will be a huge deal to have. So I think they're in Kansas City for the meetings there when they came back and got that. So get to look forward to having that in a couple of years here. And Science Hill plays at home tomorrow night. It'll be a little chilly tomorrow night, but to come out and support our team in the first round of the playoffs against Farragut at home. So,
thank you. Commissioner Brock?
I'm only going to say something about an experience I had downtown a few days ago. I was going down for lunch at the Label, and Tony, I think the guy who's building the Mike Manzi restaurant there, came to the door and said, "Hey, do you want to see inside?" Which was good. So I said, "Sure." He said, "I want you to see my stairway." And oh my goodness, you would not believe what this restaurant's going to look like inside. There's this most magnificent circular stairway that's hand-built. That's just beautiful. So I'm sure the rest of the restaurant is going to look like that. So it's going to be a pretty special place downtown. So if you get a chance to stop by,
that was
stick your nose in.
Tony Onks was
Yeah.
the construction guy there.
Yep.
Commissioner Hunter?
The only thing I guess to pick up, I thought you would do the rest of the sports updates, but Friday's also ETSU men's basketball, correct?
I think so, yeah. Against, it's their first game, but.
Somebody they're going to beat.
Home or away?
I think it's at Freedom Hall.
Home
Yeah.
game.
Is it Freedom
Home.
Hall?
Yeah.
And also this weekend is ETSU's homecoming.
Oh, yeah, for football,
Yeah,
yeah, on
nice.
Saturday.
No.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, if there's nothing further, we'll stand adjourned.
Hey, Charles.
Can I have my phone go with that, please?
Can you